But for the first time in their living memory, the Jews of this synagogue in central Paris are talking about leaving France, fearing what they call a new anti-Semitism. Lohan Layani says he is afraid that anti-Israeli sentiment has morphed into a wider, more dangerous anti-Semitism.
If you have a David stars over here, like you can have problems, or if you wear a kippah, like some people come to you and say, you're bad Jews, we're gonna all kill you or put you on the sea.
All right, folks, big problem. And joining us now to talk about it is the chairman of Americans for a Safe Israel, Mark Langfan. And Mark, welcome, sir.
Thank you for
having me. Good to see you. My pleasure. Okay. You know, with the attacks today, and of course, even though the President of the United States didn't mention this part of it, he hardly said anything relevant today when he made his comments. The two hostage situations today, one took place in a kosher bakery in Paris, and that's not by accident, of course. It's becoming a real problem. A lot of Jews leaving France and immigrating, among other places, to Israel.
Well, it's a terrible catastrophe. But what the man was saying, that anti-Zionism is morphing into anti-Semitism, one can also say the reverse, anti-Semitism is morphing into anti-Zionism, and they're really one nasty, horrific cycle, and this is only further proof of it.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who use the guise of antis being against Israel but not being against Jews, which now
convenience.
Yeah, now we have a map here, and you brought it for a reason, and it's to show what Israel's situation is, and the people who say go back to the 67 borders, the pre-67 borders, etc., which have been well established as indefensible in this day and age. So show us what you brought. Show us the map here.
Well, to actually echo what the young man just was talking about, when they say they're going to be throwing the Jews into the sea, what sea are they talking about? Well, they're in France, but what they're talking about is the Mediterranean Sea. And so this blue mass right over here is the Mediterranean Sea. And just the short and the simple of it is, this is a three-dimensional topographic map of Israel and Jordan, which gives you sort of a real quick overview. And this line right down the middle is, in fact, the Jordan Rift Valley, where you have Jordan, the Jordan River.
Right.
And so when people talk about the West Bank and Israel, a lot of times when I show my map, they have no clue what exactly and where exactly the West Bank is.
They think the West Bank is just an isolated little place. Right.
And my favorite story is about 21 years ago, I went to the New York Times editorial board when it was, I forget, on 41st Street.
Yeah.
And I walk in, I put my map down, and one of the editors who writes on Israel pointed to over here and started laughing at me and said, "That's a joke. You're never going to be able to prove to me that that West Bank is strategically important." And I looked at him and I said, "You know, you're actually right. I'm not going to be able to show that that West Bank, which is the West Bank of the Jordan River, is strategically important, but that's not the West Bank." And so then I took off my blue patch and I said, the actual West Bank is from this red line to this green line that you see, where this is, then it goes up to Jerusalem and back.
Jerusalem down here,
Jerusalem is over here, so it's actually Jerusalem is on the crest of the mountain.
It's amazing. And
okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I also want to get to the Gaza and show.
So what happens is people are first shocked to actually see what the West Bank is, but then to make matters even worse, I put on my blue patch, and under this blue patch is 70% of Israel's entire population and 80% of her industrial base. So what you're talking about is you're not only, and by the way, between the Mediterranean Sea and the Green Line, this
is how many miles?
Is about 10 miles.
Wow.
Okay. So when they're saying they're going to throw the Jews back in the sea, if they get the West Bank,
one way of pushing them in,
that they're going to get it.
Yeah.
So now we're getting back to Gaza. Where Gaza fits into this whole thing is this is the West Bank, and this little corner over here is Gaza.
Right.
So
the rockets that come in now,
the rockets that have been coming in now
usually only get how far up?
This is, well, most of the rockets, there are varying sizes of rockets.
Yeah.
But most of the rockets go this far.
Right, okay.
Okay. There are rockets that go further this
Yeah.
far, but most of the rockets go this far. But almost all of the area here is empty farmland.
But when you give them closer
But
range,
if you give them the West Bank, they
Right.
can fire those rockets
into 80% of the population.
so it's like firing, usually say from North Dakota into North Dakota. You rarely aren't going to hit anything.
How could folks see your organization, your website?
You just you can either Google my name or Google AFSI, Americans for a Safe Israel.
Okay, great,
And-
great work, and we'll speak to you soon. And the
Thank
map
you
was
again
very,
for having
very
me.
helpful. I think it puts a lot of things in perspective for a lot of people who don't realize, even the good intentioned ones don't realize now they could see it. When we come back, folks, the founder and chief blogger at the Gateway Pundit, Jim Hoft, will join us. Don't go away.